Okay, before we can get started anything with graphic design, we first need to understand the principles of design and how they work. The principles of design are balance, proximity, alignment, repetition, contrast, and white space. The principles govern the relationships between the elements used in the design and organize the composition as a whole. Successful design incorporates the use of the principles to communicate the intended message effectively. They help designers organize the images and type on the page so that it feels more comfortable to viewers and makes a greater impact. So today we're going to talk about balance, proximity, alignment, repetition, contrast, and white space. Balance. Balance is an equal distribution of weight. In terms of graphics, this applies to visual weight. Each element on a layout has visual weight that is determined by its size, darkness or lightness, and thickness of lines. Balance is vital to the success of a design. There are two main types of balance: symmetrical balance and asymmetrical balance. Symmetrical balance is an arrangement of elements so that they are evenly distributed to the left and to the right, or to the top and to the bottom. Here's some examples of graphic design using symmetrical balance. We have the avatar poster. The world is lined up in the center along with the text, as well as the title and the director's name, justified, centered, symmetrically balanced. The next one we have has a visual line right down the center showing you symmetrical balance. Everything is centered, very clean and neat. Sherlock Holmes poster, again, symmetrical balance. Just like in photography, if you fold it in half, it's the same on both sides. In this poster, another form of symmetrical balance where we're folding it not only halfway down the vertical, but we can also fold it the horizontal and we'll get a similar layout. And here's a book cover using symmetrical balance as well. Again, fold in half down the center, pretty much the same graphics on each side. Asymmetrical balance. Asymmetrical balance is an arrangement of unlike objects of equal weight on each side of the page. Color, value, size, shape, and texture can be used as balancing elements. Here we have an example of a page layout. The text up here is very heavy. It's very thick and bold and black. This text is heavy and it weighs a lot. To counteract that, or to balance that out, the designer has added these heavy purple bars at the lower left to create this asymmetrical balance. So we have the heavyweight text up here on the top right, and we have this heavyweight purple boxes towards the lower left, creating a diagonal asymmetrical balance. The next example, we have the title in here in a black field of a circle, and then radiating outwards are these kind of spirals of color, which are giving us an asymmetrical balance. So our eye looks here, and then it kind of gets sucked in and swirls around and outward. It's definitely not symmetrical. If we fold it in half, it's not the same on both sides, but we do have a nice asymmetrical balance happening. Here's a very visual example of asymmetrical balance. We have this text block over here, which even though it's just a bunch of words, it still makes a block of text which carries its own weight. And then we have a little weight, little graphic, a line, and then a bigger weight graphic. Again, this heavy, large, dark graphic balancing out against not only the little one, but also this block of text over here. And this last example, the text is kind of handwritten, wrapped around this cat drawing. And again, not the same if you fold it in half on both sides, but it has a nice flow to it. It's definitely asymmetrical. It keeps your eye moving through the different points of the drawing and back to the text. Some tips on creating balance. Color. Colors have weight. Red is heavy. Baby blue is light. Here's the example shown. Any color that takes up is darker or takes up more space will appear heavier than one that's much lighter in color or takes up less space. Size. Larger equals heavier. Obviously the word balance here appears a lot larger and empowering and heavier and darker than the word balance here, even though it's the same exact text and the same exact font. Because of the size difference, you're getting a different feeling regarding the balance of those words. Also lines, thick versus thin. We have a very thin stroke, a kind of medium stroke, and then a heavier, thicker stroke. Okay, so all these things are ways to create balance in your work. The colors you choose, the size, and the lines. The next one is proximity. The principle of proximity states that you group related items together. Move them physically close to each other so the related items are seen as one cohesive group rather than a bunch of unrelated bits. The basic purpose of proximity is to organize. By simply grouping related elements together into closer proximity, it automatically creates organization. If the information is organized, it is more likely to be read and more likely to be remembered. So here's our first example on the left. This business card has 5 separate elements which compete for the viewer's attention. We have the title of the place, the Mermaid Tavern. We have the person's name, the phone number, the location, and the street address. These are 5 separate things, creating almost an X pattern. So when we look at it, we kind of look here first just because it's larger and bolder, but then we don't know if we should look here next, or here, or here, or here. In the second example, your eye does not know where to look first. The information is not organized and it's lacking proximity. So here we have the Mermaid Tavern larger, we're looking there first. Now we're looking at the name Ralph, and then we're looking here, here, and here. By grouping related information together, the design becomes more clear and more organized. So let's not put the phone number up here, the town down here, and the street over here. Let's group these things together because they're all part of the address. So here we have it simplified. Using proximity, we've put the title up top, we've kept it in bold, so it's the first thing we see. The second most important would be the person's name. And then we've grouped the items together that belong together. So we've grouped the address, the town and state, and the phone number. So these items can stay together because they belong together. Rule of proximity is saying keep them close. It makes your work much more organized. When you create a flyer, a brochure, a newsletter, or whatever, you already know which pieces of information are logically connected. You should know which information should be emphasized and what can be de-emphasized. You need to express that information graphically by grouping it together. So our first example, learn to dance. And then we have all these words kind of flying around here. Free tea, hip hop, tango, here's the address. Everything is lumped together and the only thing we look at is learn to dance, and then we get lost in all this information. Here's an example by using proximity how we can clean that up. Learn to dance, really big. Here's the dance studio location, the times that it's open, and then all the different types of dances that they offer. At the very bottom, a little bit of information about winning prizes or giveaways. Much more organized and much more easy to understand than something like this. Again, here's an example as it would follow in a list. Here's an example of a list where we're writing stuff and then listing things underneath, because nothing is bolded or highlighted, or there's no spaces in here. It's all very kind of blah to look at. By using proximity, we can group things together that go together. So correspondences is in bold, and then we have the list of things underneath it. We put a space in here, and then we put the next section, another space, and the next section. This makes it more organized, and it makes it more easy to read. As in life, proximity or closeness implies a relationship. By grouping similar elements into one unit, several things instantly happen. The page becomes more organized. You understand where to begin reading the message, and you know when you're finished. The white space, which is the space around the letters, automatically becomes more organized as well. So here's another example. We have the First Friday Club, winter reading schedule, and then everything that follows is a center alignment paragraph with no spaces. Is it easier to read this way or the new way on the right using the rule of proximity? First Friday Club, winter reading schedule. Larger font, kind of a title here, and then a sans serif font paragraph, and then a bold date, place, time, repeated 3 times, and then lastly, the address, the place, and the location and information. Okay, so group your information together that needs to be together, and keep your text and information very clean and organized. Alignment. New designers always tend to put text and graphics on the page wherever they happen to find space, and often without regard to any other items on the page. However, the principle of alignment states, nothing should be placed on the page arbitrarily. Every item should have a visual connection with something else on the page. When items are aligned, the result is a stronger, cohesive unit. The basic purpose of alignment is to unify and organize the page. So here's our first example. Left alignment type does not connect to the image on the right. Our eyes are drawn in 2 separate directions. So we're looking first over here, Portia, the text, and then we're looking over here at the image. By using alignment, we can align the type to the right and line it up with the edge of the image to create a very strong relationship between these 2 things. This creates unity, and it's overall a much better design than the one on the left. This white space over here is not organized. It's an uneven rag, it's leaving us, not connecting us over to the image, but by simply changing our alignment and going from a left alignment to a right alignment, we're now making a connection between the image and the text, and it's an overall more cohesive design. Be conscious of where you place the elements on your page. So the line, the image, the type, everything should have a reason for why you're placing it there. Always find something else on the page to align with, even if the 2 objects are physically far away from each other. Avoid using more than one text alignment on the page. That is, don't center some text and right align some other text. If you're going to stick with right alignment, right align the whole thing. If you're going to go with center, center the whole thing. So here's our example of competing alignments. We have a left alignment up here, and then on the bottom we have a center alignment. Keep everything related. So the next 3 are better examples. We have a left alignment, and then going diagonally across in a nice asymmetrical balance, we have a right alignment. And this creates a nice diagonal and a very clean edge on both sides. In this example, we have a center alignment. So we have the logo and the name of the store is center. And then at the bottom, we have the address centered. Same exact company, but here it is as a left alignment. Logo and name, top left with a left alignment. And this little kind of ... graphic leads you right down here to the address. Very nice, clean, and simple. Repetition. The principle of repetition states, repeat some aspect of the design throughout the entire piece. The repetitive element may be a bold font, a thick line, a certain bullet, a color, a design element, a particular format, a size relationship, etc. It can be anything that a reader will visually recognize as being a theme. Repetition can be thought of as consistency. It's a conscious effort to unify all parts of your design. Here we have the Mermaid Tavern again. This card has a strong left alignment, but no repetition. Where do your eyes look first? When they get to the bottom of the card, where do you go next? So we look here, Mermaid Tavern, because it's really big and bold, and then we're using a right alignment, so we go down the edge, and then now what? And we have all this kind of they kind of leave us hanging at the end. By making the last element bold, the phone number, we are using repetition to keep the viewer's eye on the card for a longer period of time. So now from the bottom, we work our way back up to the top because it repeats to the top. So we have the bold text at the top, we work our way down. This bold phone number at the bottom brings us back up to the top because it relates, because it's a repeating type or a repeating element.